Hi everyone, it's Laura here, and today's video is part 1 of a mini-series in which I will show you 3 ways to use a stamp set and a very similar design to create cards with different looks. For today we are going to go for Prismacolor pencils on Kraft cardstock, and the stamp set I'll be using for all 3 cards in this mini-series is the Mama Elephant Fuzzy Hugs. I chose one of the images in the stamp set, and I also took this little bird from the Fly With Me stamp set, also by Mama Elephant. I'm laying my images down in my Misty, where I also have a piece of Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. This is by Crafter's Companion, and I really love the color of this Kraft cardstock. I am stamping the images with Memento dewdrops in Rich Cocoa because I feel it adds to the slightly more rustic feel that this card will have with the Kraft cardstock, and then mostly we will have white and red, and this is a color combination that I like very much for Christmas. I chose a few Prismacolor pencils from my pencil case, and I will link to that in the description box down below, as well as a bit of a better version in my experience that I'm using for my color blend pencils. Before starting coloring, I am sharpening all my pencils with this pencil sharpener by Faber-Castell, because when coloring with any type of colored pencils, it doesn't matter if it's Prismacolor, Polychromos, color blend, anything, you really want them to have that nice and sharp tip so that you can layer them nicely and you can really have a very precise application of your color. When I color with my colored pencils, I usually start by laying down my shadows and then blend everything out towards the highlight with progressively lighter pencils. The important thing is not to press too hard, but instead to work in layers, because this way you'll be able to blend your pencils really nicely and without getting any harsh lines. And also, it's not really visible from the video because it's quite sped up, but I try as much as possible to use small circular motions with my wrists rather than drawing lines, if you know what I mean, because that also helps with a nice and smooth application and a good blend. While I finished coloring the images, I wanted to spend a couple of words on this mini-series that I decided to share here on my channel. It was requested to me to share a 1 stamp set 3 cards type of video, and I decided that I would like to split this in 3 separate videos so that I can focus on each card with a little bit more detail. The design for this card is not unique. I'm going to use a cover plate die by Mama Elephant and also a sentiment die, and this combination with this stamp set too has been shown many times. For example, on Instagram I have seen many examples. So the point of these cards and this video is not necessarily to show like a unique design, but rather to see what kind of different looks you can achieve given the same design and the same stamp set using different mediums. I really hope you will enjoy this mini-series once it's completed, and I would love to hear your feedback about it, if this is something you think it's interesting to see or not so much. So as always, I really appreciate your feedback, whatever that is. And now let's come back to the coloring, because I also wanted to mention that for the second bear I decided to use a different color combination for my browns. As you can see, all the colors that are not browns are the same, so I basically have just white and red going on. But to create a little bit of a visual interest, I decided to, as I said, use a different color combination for the second bear. I felt it was a little bit too yellow though, so I went over the colored face with more muted browns that I used on the first bear. All the colors are listed on screen as you have seen by now, so that will help you if you want to follow along. But basically, once you have your first layers of Prismacolor pencils down, if you haven't pressed too hard, you're still able to go on top of those layers with different colors to tone them down a little bit, and this is what I did on this second bear. As you can see, I also colored that little bird in red, and he will be a small accent on my sentiment. If you only have the Fuzzy Hugs stamp set and you don't have the Fly With Me stamp set, that little accent is totally, you can totally skip it. And as the last step for my coloring, I took a brown pencil and I went over all the stamped lines. And this is because Prismacolors are waxed base and they will tone down anything you cover them with. So I'm bringing back those lines with a Prismacolor pencil that matches the color of the ink I used for my stamping. The Fuzzy Hugs stamp set comes with coordinating dies that you can use to cut your stamped images. I don't have them, so I used my scan and cut machine instead. And then I prepared my card base basically. I have some more Desert Storm cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And then I have some Neenah Solar White cardstock that I die cut with the Winter Forest Cover die. This is also by Mama Elephant and it's perfect for creating quick scenes on your cards. I really had to get it. I created my sentiment by die cutting some more Neenah Solar White and Neenah Desert Storm cardstock using the Mama Elephant Big Worm Fuzzy Hugs die, and then I could go ahead and assemble everything. I used my Studio Katia glue to coat the back of my cover die with this beautiful winter scene, and I then adhered it to my Desert Storm base. I'm using liquid glue as always so that I can line everything up properly, and I have some time to do that while the glue is drying. For my sentiment, I created a drop shadow effect by adhering the two die-cut greetings on top of each other. I'm going to have the white one on top and the Neenah Desert Storm that will be my drop shadow. And to obtain this effect, I'm going to adhere them slightly shifted with respect to each other. I'm coating the back of the white die cut again with my Studio Katia glue, and then I'm gluing the two sentiments together. By the way, I'm sorry for my scratchy voice. I guess I'm catching a cold or something. I hope you don't mind too much. And coming back to the card, the next step was to adhere the sentiment to the top portion of my scene. I'm going to check that I have enough space for my images so that they don't cover too much of the sentiment, and then I'm going to press it down on the card base. These cute bears will go on the bottom right corner of my card front, and lastly the little bird will be, as I said, an accent on my sentiment. As a last step, I adhered everything to a top folding A2 card base that is cut to 4 1/4 by 11 inches and scored at 5.5 inches, and that finished off my card. And that's it for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you liked the idea of this mini series with one stamp set and one card design. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel for more card making and paper crafting inspiration, and while you wait for part 2 of the mini-series, you can check out some more videos on my channel. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and have a great day!